Okay, so we're practicing the law of sines, and problem number 1 asks us to find AC. So we first need to take a look at what the law of sines is. So we know that from our notes, law of sines is little a over the sine of angle A is equal to little b over the sine of angle B is equal to little c over the sine of C. Now we only need 2 of these fractions at a time to solve a proportion. So let's see what information we have here. So we have angle A is 118 degrees. So this would be little a over here. We don't know what little a is. All right? We have angle B is 22 degrees. Opposite that would be little b. We have angle C. It's not labeled, but we do have little c is 24. We're trying to find the side AC. So let's see. AC is over here, and I know that that's little b. So I'm going to cross out AC. I'm just going to write little b so that I know in the context of my formula, I'm finding little b. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to fill that in. I know that I'm finding little b. So I need the sine of b. And b is 22 degrees, so the sine of 22 degrees. Now, I don't know whether I'm using A's or C's yet. So let's look. I know that A is 118 degrees, but I don't know little a. I know that C, little c, is 24, but I don't know angle C. Which one of those can I find easily? Angle C or side A? Angle C. Because I know that for every triangle, the angles always add up to what? 180 degrees. Plus C in there. So that means C plus 140 is equal to 180. So C is how many degrees? 40 degrees. So now I know that I'm going to use the C portion over here. Little c is 24, and angle C is 40 degrees. So now I have a proportion. How do I solve a proportion? Cross multiply. Very good. So I've got b times the sine of 40 degrees is equal to 24 times the sine of 22 degrees. So what am I trying to solve for here? B. So I want b by itself. Currently, it's b times the sine of 40. How do I undo times? Divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 40 degrees. So I'm left with b is exactly 24 times the sine of 22 degrees divided by the sine of 40 degrees. But I'm asked to estimate this to the nearest tenth, so I'm just going to plug this in my calculator. So somebody plug it in your calculator for me. To the nearest tenth. So we get 13.98682567, which would round to 14.0 feet. Units, sorry. Now, somebody explain to me why this problem didn't require inverse sine, but the example problem did require inverse sine. Because what?
Because on the back side we're looking for an angle.
Because in the last problem we were looking for an angle, and on this one we're looking for what? Or side. Very good. So let's try a problem where we are looking for an angle again. So we're going to do problem number 7 on your worksheet. So it says find the measure of angle C. So we know that our formula is little a over the sine of angle A is equal to little b over the sine of angle B is equal to little c over the sine of angle C. Okay, so we got to figure out what we know, what we're looking for. We're looking for the measure of angle C. So we know that we're going to have to use this portion over here. So we know that we're looking for the measure of angle C, so we're going to have to keep this sine of C in here. All right, let's go over here and label our triangle. So we've got angle C, opposite angle C is going to be little c, side little c. So side little c is 20, so let's plug that in. Now let's see if we know all the information for any of the other ones. We've got angle B here. We don't know the measure of angle B. We've got side little b. We do know that. We've got angle A, and opposite that, we have side little a. Which one do we have all the information for? A. So let's use the A. So we've got little a is what? 29 over the sine of how many degrees? 82. So this is just a proportion. So we're just cross multiplying as we've always done to solve proportions. So we have 29 times the sine of angle C is equal to 20 times the sine of 82 degrees. But we ultimately want to solve for C. And in order to do that, we're going to have to get sine C by itself. So right now, 29 is being multiplied by that sine C. So we're going to have to divide both sides by what? 29. Very good. These 29's cancel. So we're left with the sine of C is exactly 20 times the sine of 82 degrees, all divided by 29. But we don't want the sine of C. We want angle C. So when we know the sine and we want the angle, what do we use? Everybody. The inverse. So the inverse sine of all of this is approximately. Now, this is probably the hardest part of the law of sine. You have to punch this in your calculator correctly. Make sure you put parentheses around the whole numerator. Brackets and parentheses, remember, are functionally the same. So if you want to use brackets to make it clear which ones match up, that's perfectly fine. So make sure you put parentheses around the whole numerator. If you had two things down here, you'd need parentheses around this as well. So go ahead and punch that in your calculator. And to the nearest tenth, what do you get? 43 point what?
1 unit.
1. And what are my units? Since I'm finding an angle, what are my units? degrees. Very good.